Welcome to School Talk. Today we have a very special episode. We have 4-year-old students from the Career Center from Ms. Phillips and Ms. Godfrey's classroom, and today we're going to read a very special story. So I want you to raise your hand. I'm going to ask you a question, so hang on, put your hands down for just a minute. Raise your hand if you like to read or be read to. Do you like to read or be read to? All right, great. Well, today I'm going to read to you a very special story, and it's called A Very McStuffins Christmas. McStuffins Christmas. So everybody listen. And I'll show you the pictures. It is Christmas Eve at the McStuffins house. The presents are wrapped. The cookies are baked. The tree is covered with bright lights and shiny ornaments. Everything's ready for another perfect McStuffins Christmas. You know, Santa can't come until everyone's asleep, Mama says. Doc and Donnie race off to their rooms and jump into their beds. Night, bugaboo, Mom says as she kisses Doc on the forehead. As soon as Mom closes the door, Doc holds up her stethoscope and all of her toys come to life.
I want that McStuffin before.
Did you? The stethoscope makes sure her heart's beating, right? The toys are just as excited about Christmas as Doc and Donnie are, but they know that Doc needs to go to sleep. As soon as Doc's eyes are closed, the toys get to work. Operation Doc present is underway, whispers Haley, jumping out of bed. Just don't wake Doc. See that picture? Lambie carefully picks up Doc's presents. It's a homemade ornament with pictures of all Doc's toys. Now they just have to get it on the tree in time for Christmas morning. Shh! Haley tells Lambie and Stuffy as they tiptoe through the hallway. You two are louder than fireworks at a football game. See the picture? But that's not us, Lambie tells Haley. It's that elf under the tree. Oh, jingle bells and candy canes, wails the elf. Now, I've been sing too. This cannot get any worse. Tobias the elf introduces himself and tells the toys why he's sad. It's been a busy year, so Santa has a team of elves to help him. But I dropped this present and the toy inside broke, Tobias explains. If Santa finds out, I'm worried he won't let me help anymore. The toys all smile. They know Tobias came down the chimney of the best toy fixer-upper there is. They just have to wake her up.
That's the elf.
Yeah.
I saw an elf before.
Yeah, did you?
I seen a real elf.
All right, well, let's see what happens. Doc heads downstairs to meet Tobias. Oh, no, she gasps when she sees the broken toy. That's Commander Crush, the toy Donnie is waiting for. I know, Tobias says. He's written Santa at least 3 letters, and I've watched him do so many kind things. Tobias, don't give up so easily, Doc says. I just need to give the commander a checkup. Doc grabs her doctor's bag. She checks the commander's ears and his eyes. She listens to his heart for his heartbeat. She looks at his back. This part is broken. Doc explains, it can't be fixed. You need a brand new one. So Let's see what happens. Luckily, Tobias knows where they can find a replacement part. You'll have to come with me to the North Pole, he whispers. And with a little sprinkle of elfin magic, Doc, Tobias, and all the toys are transported to Santa's workshop. That's where I was built, Commander Crush tells them. What's your plan, Private Tobias? The toy building room, Tobias replies. If we can get in there, we should be able to find all your replacement parts. Tobias leads everyone in the back so that Santa won't see them. There are train tracks and springy springs and slippy slides in the toy building room, but there aren't any spacebot parts. They head to the next room where they see a spacebot. I have a great kid waiting for me, Commander Crush tells the spacebot. This fine doctor here is prepared to fix me, but we can't find the parts. Toys like us get put together in our own room, the spacebot tells him. Great, Doc cheers. Let's find your broken part, and then I can fix you. So they're going to try to fix him. Let's see what happens. Finally, they make it to the spacebot room. Doc looks in all the bins. Extra legs, extra wings, back joints, she says. Then Doc finds just what she needs. A big bin full of extra gear. Okay, are you ready for maintenance? Doc asks Commander Crush. Yes, he replies. Doc gets to work and puts the new parts in place. Commander Crush spreads his wings and transforms into a spaceship. I did it! I did it! He cries. No, wait, you did it. Thank you, Doc. You see the picture? Tobias starts to cry again, but this time he's crying happy tears. All I've ever wanted was to make kids happy on Christmas Day. Ho, 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 booms a voice behind Tobias. It's Santa Claus. Oh, Santa, I'm so sorry I broke Donnie's toy, says Tobias. I've been watching you, Santa says. You did everything you could to make sure Donnie has a perfect Christmas. You're just the kind of elf I need. Look and see Santa. To Tobias's surprise, Santa promotes him to the Jingle Bells, a group of the best and most important elves in the North Pole. Then Santa takes a look at Commander Crush's back. Who fixed you? Santa wonders. I did, Doc says. I'm Doc McStuffins. Ho, 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 of course you are. Santa laughs. I've been following your career for a very long time. I've never seen a kid love and take care of her toys the way that you do. You have a job at the North Pole if you ever want one. Doc appreciates Santa's offer, but she wouldn't trade her family or her toys for anything. Well, we'd better hop in my sleigh. It's almost morning, says Santa. Space-tastic, says Commander Crush, and let's hurry so Donnie can get his best present ever, me. The jingle bells jingle and the reindeer stomp their hoofs. Santa's sleigh soars through a starry sky filled with snowflakes, and Doc McStuffins gets home just in the nick of time. Doc has a goodbye hug to give before she goes inside. I couldn't have saved Donnie Christmas without you, Doc, Tobias says, or gotten to jingle the jingle bells. I've always been watching over you on Christmas. The next morning, Donnie jumps up on Doc's bed to wake her up. Santa came! He came! Donnie cheers, and I got the best present ever. Doc follows Donnie downstairs to celebrate with her family. I love my present too, she tells the toys, holding up her ornament. There's one more present there for you, Doc, Haley whispers. See the picture. Doc opens up the box to find the best present ever. It's her very own Jingle Bell elf toy. But how did Mom and Dad know? Then Doc read the card on the box. Dear Doc, from one toy lover to another, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. And that is the end of our book. I want you to raise your hand for me if you like this book. Yeah? Let me tell you what we're going to give to each one of you, to your teachers, to give to you before you go home for the holidays. A copy of this book to take home. And my hope for you is that you will have mommy or daddy or some family or friend member read with you every day that we're out, because that is so very important. I have enjoyed my time with you, and when we come back in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk about the graduation rate with Mr. Frost. But before we go, I want everybody to turn around, and I want you to wave. Y'all have been so wonderful, and I hope you have a happy holiday season. Thanks to you and your teachers for being with me today. Thank you very much, and we'll be back.
Welcome back to School Talk. I am now rejoined by Dr. Kelly Pugh. And Dr. Pugh, you just had the privilege of reading to our 4K students here at the Applied Technology Center. How was that experience?
Oh, it was great. That's what we're all about, is being with our kids. So that was wonderful. I hope they enjoyed it as much as I did.
Certainly. So it's really interesting that we get to go from some of our youngest students to talking about some of our oldest students. In that meaning, we're going to discuss our graduation rate as we continue this monthly series talking about different data points throughout the school year. So if we would, we'll just kind of go ahead and walk through the graduation rate for 2015 for each of our schools. But if we could clarify, since we're going to talk about a 4-year graduation rate, people in the community may hear and see a 5-year rate. And just if we could real briefly help us understand the difference between the two rates.
Well, the way that the state and the federal government determine our graduation rate is they look at a cohort of students when they come into 9th grade at a particular school. And then they look at that cohort of students 4 years following that entrance into 9th grade. And our graduation rate is calculated by what percentage of those students graduate with a high school diploma. So if you have a student that is earning an attendance certificate or an occupational diploma, unfortunately, those students do not count into that 4-year graduation rate. And if it takes them 5 years and they still earn a high school diploma, that diploma counts for them, and it counts in our 5-year graduation rate, but not in that 4-year graduation rate. So it's that 9th grade group of kids when they come, and what percentage of those kids 4 years later earn that high school diploma.
So one last question before we look at the different rates for each school is we want to explore how important data collection is in this process and how we arrive at some of the figures.
Well, it's real important for our data collection for us to be accurate with our students who come to us from our feeder middle schools or who transfer into us. But it's also really important for us to track any student who leaves our system during that 4 years. If we do not track them and know that they left and enrolled in and attended at least one day another school, and we lose that student, they count against the graduation rate. So really making sure that we keep up with each student that comes into our system is very important. And our high school principals do an excellent job with that. They have a spreadsheet. They are monitoring. Most importantly, we want kids to graduate. But we don't want to wait until their senior year to see that we're missing a student. We're not exactly sure where that student may have transferred. Right. So they're looking at it every day, every week, in every grade.
All right, so we will now take a look at Rock Hill High School's 2015 graduation rate. As you can see on the screen, they had a percentage of 81.8 students that were able to graduate. Again, the 4-year graduation rate. And we'll compare this against each school's graduation rate against the state average for that same school year or same cohort. And that 2015 cohort statewide had a percentage of 80.3. So you'll see Rock Hill High, as we move through those schools, each school has outperformed, which is a great thing, has outperformed the state. And so if we could maybe talk a little bit about each school as we get to them, about what we're seeing and how each school is making gains.
Well, I think that each of our schools, again, are really aware of the data tracking, but more importantly than that is providing resources for students during those 4 years to make sure that we have rigorous coursework and curriculum, but that we are providing support for them in our schools through tutoring programs, so that they are earning those Carnegie units, because that's the key. When students come to the high school, first time for most of them that they are actually earning Carnegie units, and that they're able to do that and they're able to keep up so that they don't get behind during their high school career. And all of our high schools, I think, do a really good job. We have graduation coaches that work with each of our high schools. They've actually been on School Talk in the past to just talk about the things that they do. If they see a student beginning to have an attendance problem or an academic problem, that they're there to really provide some one-on-one support so that that student knows ways in which they can get help.
All right, so this 81.8 percentage, if we go back to 2012, this, for our viewers as well as Dr. Pugh, just to remind everyone, this illustrates an 8 percentage point gain since 2012. So there has been a lot of work, some of which you just alluded to, has gone in, and most importantly, tremendous work by our students and our teachers to help this rate continue to grow. And we'll now move over to Northwestern High School and take a look at theirs, 90.9%. And again, comparing it against the state, they're slightly more than 10 percentage points higher. So again, what might we be seeing at Northwestern to help this number continue to grow?
Well, I think very similar to Rock Hill. They each school kind of has their own unique way of working with students, but I think that Northwestern does a really good job of providing that extra support. They have an individual who works before school, during school, after school to tutor and support students who might be struggling academically. And sometimes it's actually going to the student and really encouraging them to participate in that extra help. And I think all 3 of our high schools have a very unique way of doing that.
And then lastly, we'll look at Southpoint. So Southpoint High School in its 10th year, celebrating year number 10. They have also increased since 2012, as has Northwestern. They've grown their graduation rate 8 percentage points since 2012 to now sitting at 83.6, again, higher than the state average. So similar question, what might we be seeing at Southpoint that continue to help attribute to these scores continue on the growth pattern?
Well, and again, very similar programs. Theirs happens to be in the afternoon as well. They have an after-school tutoring program that supports students. And so, I think that what you would find at all of the schools is a dedicated staff who wants to work with their individual students, but then also an understanding of some students needing that extra support, and whether it is their classroom teacher or if it's a specific program, which each of our high schools have. It may look just a little bit different in each high school, but really saying to students, this is what we believe you need to know and be able to do. We understand that it may take some of you a little longer to get there, and then what can we do to provide that support? Mychal, I do think that one thing that's really important to share with our viewers is that At one point, the graduation rate was calculated by just looking at that cohort. Several years ago, not only do we look at it as that cohort, but we break that cohort down into subgroups, so that if a school has 30 or more students in a particular subgroup, we're looking at that group of students and their percentage. And for many schools, that caused their graduation to drop initially. So I'm very proud that we continue in Rock Hill schools to be above that state average. We want to continue to grow that. We think that it's important that each of our subgroups are going to that level, that we're not having one subgroup for in-reduced lunch or females or whatever that subgroup might be that's not getting that graduation rate where it needs to be.
Well, good. So we take all 3 high schools and then we look at that same data at the district level. And as a district, our 3 high schools combined have a graduation rate of 85.3%. Again, as previous illustrated, again over the state average. Also, just like our 3 high schools have illustrated, an 8 percentage point gain since 2012. So we are definitely moving in the right direction. Still some work to do to achieve our goals, but we are definitely doing the right things to get there.
And I think it's important for our viewers to know that you're never going to see us the way we currently calculate the graduation rate saying that our goal would be 100%. And it's not that we wouldn't want 100%, but the way in which the graduation rate is calculated, not all of our students earn high school earning that 4-year high school diploma. We do have students that are earning an occupational diploma or a certificate of attendance, and unfortunately those students do not count in our graduation rate. So sometimes people will say, why don't you have 100%? Well, that's the reason why. So I think this was good information for our viewers.
I believe so, and we'll explore potential other data sets that we want to share with everyone, but right now we'll move on to our next segment.
And I think you're going to be the one that's going to actually host our next segment. We have another graduate. So we will look forward in just a few minutes to Mr. Frost interviewing another one of Rock Hill School District 3's alumni. Thank you.
Welcome back to School Talk. Dr. Pugh and I just got finished talking about our graduation rate data, and now I'm joined by a Rock Hill High School graduate, Noah Rice. Some of you viewing today's show may recognize him from a recent performance, but before we talk about that, just want Noah, if you could introduce yourself, tell us when you graduated and what you've been up to since graduation.
Yeah, my name is Noah Rice. I have been singing opera since college, basically, so for about 12, 15 years off and on, as far as being paid for it and being more of a voluntary status. But I graduated from Rock Hill High in 1999. I have 2 children, and as they've been growing, I've been a stay-at-home dad during the day, and then at night you go and sing, or I also referee and coach soccer and work at a sports facility, because usually the thing with arts is it's very ebb and flow. Sometimes you get lots of work, and then sometimes it's a little slower, so you have to find ways to supplement your income. And so I love sports and I love performing.
Yeah, it's certainly great then to combine 2 loves together and get paid to do both.
Exactly.
Not many people get that luxury in life, and certainly find happiness along the way. So what we really want to just go ahead and jump into, just recently, earlier this month, you had the opportunity to perform in front of nearly 80,000 people. And Noah was able to do that by singing the national anthem at the Atlantic Coast Conference football championship game just recently. So tell us a little bit about that experience, what it's like to sing in front of a group that large, and any other nuances or interesting things you learned through that experience.
Well, it was my second time performing for the ACC Championship. I did it in 2013 as well. It's really interesting to kind of find, it's a lot like doing like a broadcast or something like that, where there's so many working parts and it all fits together, and you have to know where you are in the spectrum. So I think the interest, for being the second time, I was able to time things even better, and because I don't know if you heard any or saw any of the videos, but the fireworks are going off and stuff, and you have to make sure that if you're not sustaining that note or whatnot, then it becomes kind of you almost lose the song, the piece. And above all, I want to make sure that I am bringing honor to the country and to the national anthem. But at the same time, you know, with all those moving pieces, it's like you have to make sure that you are still keeping your focus and not getting caught up in everything else, because like they have to give you, you know, little ear monitors so that you can hear yourself, as opposed to hearing yourself in the stadium where there'd be all these awkward pregnant pauses and things. So you have to make sure that you do take care of all aspects so that you can bring a continuity to the performance.
Sure, and it certainly is a performance. I mean, you illustrated the amount of moving pieces and the production that it really becomes when you're orchestrating all the fireworks. And I'm not sure if at that game there was a flyover, since it was an evening game, but I can only imagine events where it's an outdoor event and there's an airplane flyover. And making sure the timing of everything is perfect, and the minute detail that goes into that. So maybe on a little smaller scale, fireworks going off, and so you can kind of get the idea there. And we see the firework moment here on the screen, so the bombs going off there during the song, and you're right there in the middle at the 50-yard line, and all the Clemson orange in the background. So you've also mentioned, you mentioned off camera, you've had opportunities to perform a national anthem at other major venues in Charlotte. Just give us a little bit of idea of what else you've done and some of those experiences.
Well, I've sung it for senators before. The York Electric Co-op has a meeting every year, and they always have their representative there. I've sung for that. I've sang for the Republican National Committee. Republican National Convention 2 Decembers ago, and so Newt Gingrich, you know, some other random senators and representatives there, and the Checkers Salute to Heroes Night, which is a event where they try to get money back to people who have served in the police and the firefighters, people that have died in the line of service, and they try to make sure that they are getting money back. The last time we did that one, there was like 12,000 people, so that brought a lot of money back to those people, and they have a firefighters and policemen's game after the Checkers game, which was really cool. A lot of people enjoy that.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to be with us here today. As I indicated again off camera, you go from performing in front of 80,000 people at Bank of America Stadium earlier this month to having a sit down here in the Applied Technology Center studio. So again, thank you for your time. And this will wrap up School Talk for this month. And I appreciate and want to take an opportunity to say thank you to Miss Martha Minsinger's class and all the work they have helped with this semester in producing the monthly talk show. And when we return in January, we'll get started again with School Talk. Thank you and have a happy holidays.